Here's a question that might seem almost too simple to take seriously, but stay with me, because the answer reveals something surprisingly profound about the way we communicate every single day. How are you? 3 words, one question. And yet, for something so universally used across text messages, phone calls, emails, casual hallway encounters, and formal business meetings, we are remarkably bad at answering it. Not because we don't understand the question, but because somewhere along the way, we all defaulted to the same robotic, lifeless response. I'm fine, thank you. And that was that. Conversation over before it even began. Think about it for a moment. Monday morning rolls around and someone greets you. How are you? I'm fine. Tuesday, same thing. How are you? I'm fine. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, fine, fine, fine. It's like a broken record playing in the background of your life and nobody is actually listening anymore. The question has lost its meaning and so has the answer, but what if it didn't have to be that way? What if those 3 little words could actually open the door to a real, memorable, and genuinely engaging conversation? That's exactly what today's session is all about. We're going to completely transform the way you respond to how are you, and we're going to do it with creativity, personality, and a touch of fun. Because the truth is, the way you answer this question says a lot more about you than you might think. It reflects your energy, your awareness, your warmth, and your ability to connect with the people around you. So let's stop settling for fine and start making every answer count. Let's kick things off with something perfect for a Monday. Imagine your colleague walks in, coffee in hand, and asks, "Hey, how are you?" Instead of the usual flat response, you look up and say, "I'm gearing up for the week, thanks for asking." How about you? Now notice what just happened. You didn't just answer the question, you radiated energy. You signaled that you're focused, motivated, and ready to take on whatever the week throws at you. That single response can shift the entire tone of an interaction, and it costs you nothing. The person walking away from that conversation is going to feel your enthusiasm, whether they realize it or not. Now here's another one, and this time, picture it being the kind of Monday that follows a genuinely wonderful weekend. Someone asks, "How are you?" And instead of brushing past it, you say, "I had such a great weekend with my family, so honestly, I'm in a really happy place right now. How are you?" Beautiful. You've shared something real. You've given the other person a glimpse into your life without oversharing, and you've invited them into the conversation too. That's the kind of exchange people remember. That's the kind of person people enjoy talking to. Of course, not every day feels like sunshine and good weekends. Some days are just the same as the day before and the day before that. The project hasn't changed. The routine hasn't shifted. Life at that particular moment is simply moving along at its usual, predictable pace. And that's completely okay, because even monotony can be expressed with a little personality. If someone asks how you are and you're genuinely in one of those stretches, try saying, same old, you know how it goes. It's honest, it's relatable. And it carries a kind of dry warmth that most people will immediately connect with. No pretending, no performance, just a real, grounded answer. Here's one that works beautifully when the weather is on your side. The sun is out, the temperature is just right, and for once, simply stepping outside feels like a small gift. When someone asks how you are in that moment, try this. "Honestly, I'm feeling really grateful for this weather today. How are you?" It sounds simple, but it does something quite powerful. It shows that you're present, that you're paying attention to the world around you, and that you're someone who finds genuine appreciation in everyday things. That kind of mindfulness is magnetic, and it tends to bring out the same quality in the people you're speaking with. Now, before we go any further, there's something important worth pointing out, something that has been woven into every single example so far, and it's this: always ask the question back. Every response we've looked at ends with "How are you?" directed right back at the person who asked. And this isn't just good manners, though it certainly is that, it's a signal. It tells the other person that you see them, that you're interested in them, and that you're not the kind of person who only ever talks about themselves. It shows reciprocity, respect, and genuine social intelligence. Make it a habit, make it automatic. Because the moment you start turning the question around, you stop having exchanges and start having actual conversations. So far, we've covered answers for the energized Monday, the happy post-weekend glow, the quietly monotonous stretch, and the weather-blessed afternoon. And we're just getting started. Coming up, we have responses for the exhausted days, the nostalgic daydreaming moments, and even the days when only chocolate can save you. Stay with us, it's only going to get better from here. So we've already established that I'm fine is officially retired. Good. Now let's keep building your new vocabulary, because the richness of human experience deserves far better than a two-word autopilot response, and the more tools you have, the more naturally these answers will start to flow in real life. Let's start with something a little wistful and honestly very relatable. Have you ever been sitting at your desk, staring at your screen, technically present but mentally somewhere else entirely? Maybe it's a beach you visited years ago, or a mountain trail you've been meaning to explore, or simply any place that isn't the inside of an office. We've all been there. And the next time someone catches you in that faraway state and asks how you are, here's what you say: honestly. I'm imagining myself far away on a beach right now. Where are you escaping to in your head? It's playful, it's disarming, and it immediately creates a sense of shared humanity. Almost everyone in a workplace or classroom has had that exact feeling, and naming it out loud has a way of making both people smile. It turns a routine check-in into a tiny moment of real connection. Now let's talk about the harder days, because they exist, and pretending otherwise doesn't serve anyone. There are days when things aren't going particularly well. Not dramatically, not catastrophically, but just not great. You've had better days, and everyone around you can probably sense it. In those moments, the most honest and graceful thing you can say is simply, "I've been better. But I'm hanging in there, thanks for asking." This response is powerful precisely because of its honesty. It doesn't burden the other person with details they may not have the bandwidth for, but it also doesn't lie to their face with a cheerful "I'm great." It acknowledges reality with quiet dignity. And most people will respect that far more than a forced performance of happiness. Then there are the days that go a step beyond not great, the days when you are genuinely, deeply exhausted. Mentally drained, physically worn out, running purely on willpower and whatever caffeine you managed to consume before noon. Someone walks up mid-afternoon and asks, "Hey, how are you?" And every cell in your body just wants to collapse. Here's your answer, honestly. Just trying to stay alive right now. Said with the right tone, a tired smile, a small laugh, this lands perfectly every single time. It's funny, it's real, and it communicates exactly how you feel without requiring a lengthy explanation. The person asking will almost certainly laugh, maybe nod in total understanding, and the two of you will share a brief but genuine human moment in the middle of an otherwise draining day. Here's one that works best when you're with someone whose presence genuinely lifts your mood: a close friend, a favorite colleague, a person who just has that effect on you. They walk in and ask how you are, and instead of a standard answer, you look at them and say, "Honestly, I'm better now that you're here." Now, this isn't about flattery or being overly sentimental, it's about being sincere. If someone truly does brighten the room when they walk into it, telling them so is one of the most generous things you can do. It costs nothing, but it means everything. And the beauty of this response is that it answers the question while simultaneously making the other person feel genuinely valued. That's a rare and wonderful thing. Sometimes, though, the most elegant move is to answer a question with the very same question. It sounds counterintuitive, but hear it out. When someone asks, "How are you?" you can respond with, I was just wondering the same thing about you. How are you doing?" It's smooth, it's warm, and it shifts the focus gracefully without being evasive. The other person gets to speak first, which most people actually appreciate, and you've managed to answer the question while showing genuine interest in them. It's a subtle social skill, but it works remarkably well in a wide range of settings, from professional environments to casual friendships. Now let's take a turn toward the more playful end of the spectrum, because not every conversation needs to be measured and thoughtful. Some of the best answers are the ones that make people laugh. Consider this scenario. It's been a long stretch of intense work, you haven't had a proper break in days, and your brain is practically begging for something sweet. Someone asks how you are, and you respond, "Give me a chocolate bar and I'll be absolutely fantastic." It's lighthearted, it's specific. And it's the kind of answer that gets a genuine laugh rather than a polite smile. People remember answers like this. They file you away as someone who's fun to talk to, someone with a sense of humor, someone worth stopping to chat with in the hallway. In the same spirit, if you've been on your feet all day, sitting through back-to-back meetings or grinding through a physically demanding shift, this one will resonate deeply. Honestly, I could really go for a massage right now. It's expressive, it's relatable, and it paints an immediate picture of how you're feeling without needing a single complaint. You're tired, yes, but you're saying it in a way that's almost charming. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. We're building quite the collection now, and we're not done yet. Up ahead, we're moving through the week toward everyone's favorite destination, Friday, and trust me, those answers have an energy all their own. There's something about the middle of the week that has its own particular energy, a kind of quiet pressure, a steady hum of effort and obligation. You're past the fresh start of Monday, but the weekend still feels just out of reach. It's in these in-between moments that your answers to "how are you" can actually say the most about who you are and how you're navigating life. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is answer with raw, unfiltered honesty, dressed up just enough to remain socially graceful. Let's talk about one of those answers. When everything around you feels loud, cluttered, and relentless, when the noise of the day seems to press in from every direction and someone pauses to ask how you are, try saying this, honestly. "I'm in need of some peace and quiet right now." It's direct, it's real, and it communicates your mental state without a single word of complaint or negativity. Maybe there's construction happening right outside your window. Maybe your inbox has been flooded since 7 in the morning. Maybe the open plan office has been particularly chaotic today. Whatever the source of the noise, literal or metaphorical, this answer names the feeling clearly and honestly, and most people will respond with empathy rather than awkwardness. There's a certain quiet courage in admitting that you need stillness, and saying it calmly without drama is actually a sign of self-awareness that others tend to respect. Now, there are also moments when the chaos isn't external at all, it's internal. Your mind is spinning with tasks, deadlines, decisions, and the thousand small things that accumulate over the course of a busy week. And in those moments, sometimes the most honest answer is also the funniest. "I'm currently running on coffee and sheer determination. How about you?" It's the kind of response that makes people laugh out loud because it is so specific, so identifiable, and so utterly true. You've described the interior of every busy person's midweek brain in a single sentence, and the moment you say it, the person across from you will almost certainly nod and say, "Same, that's connection." That's what a good answer to "how are you" can actually create. Here's another one worth keeping in your back pocket, particularly useful in professional settings where you want to project confidence and focus without coming across as robotic. Imagine it's the middle of the week and you have something significant coming up. A presentation, a big meeting, an important deadline, a performance review. Someone asks how you are, and you stand a little straighter and say, "I'm ready for tomorrow, genuinely feeling prepared and looking forward to it." The effect of this answer is immediate and unmistakable. It signals competence. It radiates a quiet, assured energy that people notice. It tells whoever is listening that you're not coasting through the week, you're moving through it with intention. Your colleague, your boss, your teacher, whoever hears it will walk away with a stronger impression of you than if you had simply said "fine." And then there's this gem, which works in exactly the right circumstances, specifically with someone you're comfortable with and someone who actually has the time and the interest to hear a real answer. They ask, "How are you?" And instead of anything predictable, you pause and say, "Do you want the short version or the long version?" The beauty of this response is everything it implies. It suggests that something has happened, that there's a story, a development, a series of events that could be told if the moment allowed. It's intriguing without being overwhelming, and it gives the other person the power to choose how deep the conversation goes. If they say long version, you have an open invitation to share what's genuinely going on in your life. If they say short version, you deliver a concise, witty summary and leave them smiling. Either way, you've elevated the exchange from routine to real. It's worth pausing here to think about why all of this matters beyond just sounding more interesting. The way we answer, "How are you?" is in many ways a small window into how we choose to show up in our relationships, whether professional, social, or personal. When you give a thoughtful, personalized answer, you're signaling something important, that you're present, that you're engaged, and that you value the interaction enough to bring your actual self to it. That matters to people, even when they can't quite articulate why. The colleague who always gives genuine, interesting answers to small questions is the same person who tends to be trusted with bigger conversations. The friend who responds with humor and warmth to casual check-ins is the one people reach out to when things get serious. These small moments add up. They build the foundation of how others see us and how we make them feel. There's also something deeply personal about learning to articulate your own emotional state clearly and creatively, even in passing. When you can name how you're feeling with precision and color, you develop a stronger relationship with your own inner world. You stop moving through the day on autopilot and start actually noticing what's happening inside you. I'm gearing up, I've been better, I need some peace and quiet. Each of these is a small act of self-awareness, and over time, that awareness compounds into something genuinely valuable. We're heading into the final stretch of the week now, and if you think these answers have been good, just wait until you hear what Friday has in store. Friday. Just the word alone carries a certain weight, a collective exhale that moves through offices, classrooms, and households at roughly the same time every week. By the time Friday arrives, you have lived through the week in its entirety. You've navigated the early morning optimism of Monday, the grind of the middle days, the chaos and the quiet and everything in between. And now here you are standing at the edge of the weekend and someone asks the same question they've been asking all week. How are you? But on Friday, the answer feels completely different. On Friday, the answer has energy. Let's start with one that captures that exact feeling, the one where the weekend isn't just something you're looking forward to. It's something you're practically already living inside your imagination. Someone asks how you are on a Friday afternoon and you grin and say, "Honestly, I just want to get away. You should come with me." It's bold, it's fun, and it immediately lifts the energy of the room. What you're really saying is that you've mentally already left, that your mind is halfway to a beach, a mountain, a road trip. A lazy afternoon somewhere far from work, and you're generous enough to bring the other person along in spirit. It's the kind of answer that makes people laugh and think, and it transforms a standard Friday check-in into something genuinely enjoyable. Try it once and watch how quickly people light up. Then there's the version for when the excitement is just a little more specific. You've made plans, real ones. Friday night dinner with friends, a weekend trip, a lazy 2-day stretch with no agenda and no alarm clock. And when someone asks how you are, you don't hold any of that back, you let it show. "I honestly cannot wait for this weekend" is more than enough. Said with the right energy, with the kind of smile that comes from genuine anticipation, it communicates everything. People can feel authentic excitement, and it's contagious in the best possible way. The person asking will likely smile right back, maybe share their own weekend plans, and before you know it, what started as a routine question has turned into an actual conversation. But here's something worth reflecting on as we celebrate the arrival of Friday. The quality of your weekend is often shaped by how you arrive at it. If you spend Friday afternoon anxious or distracted or mentally still tangled up in the work week, the weekend won't feel as restorative as it could. There's real value in consciously transitioning, in allowing yourself to exhale, to let the week go, and to step fully into the time that belongs to you. And one small way of doing that is simply by naming the feeling. Saying, "I can't wait for the weekend" out loud is actually a tiny act of permission you're telling yourself, and whoever is listening that it's okay to look forward to rest. That joy is allowed. That anticipation is not frivolous but necessary. Now let's talk about Saturday, specifically the kind of Saturday that involves absolutely nothing important and is absolutely perfect because of it. You've slept in. You've had a slow morning. There's no schedule, no agenda, no place you urgently need to be. Your phone buzzes and it's a friend asking, "Hey, how are you?" And from the comfortable warmth of your couch, you type back or say with complete and total sincerity, "Loving this lazy Saturday," not a complaint in sight. Not a trace of guilt about doing nothing, just pure, honest contentment with the simple luxury of an unstructured day. This answer carries a kind of peace that is immediately recognizable, because everyone, at some level, knows exactly what a lazy Saturday feels like and craves it regularly. When you name it with that much ease and satisfaction, it's oddly delightful for the person hearing it. And then Sunday arrives, glorious, unhurried, slightly melancholy in the best possible way. Sundays have their own particular texture. They are the days of good food, afternoon naps, gentle music, maybe a walk, maybe a book, maybe just sitting somewhere quiet and not needing anything to happen. When someone checks in on a Sunday and asks how you are, the most perfect possible answer is also the most honest one: loving this lazy Sunday. It's the same spirit as Saturday. But Sunday adds something extra, a quiet awareness that tomorrow is coming, which makes today feel even more precious. When you say loving this lazy Sunday, you're not just describing your day, you're inhabiting it fully. You're telling the world that right now, in this moment, everything is exactly as it should be. What's remarkable about the weekend answers is how clearly they reveal the relationship between language and mood. When you articulate your enjoyment out loud, when you actually name the fact that you're happy, that you're looking forward to something, that you're at peace, you deepen the experience of it. You move it from something passively happening to you into something you're actively choosing to notice and appreciate. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between drifting through life and actually living it. And that, in many ways, is the whole point of everything we've explored together today. Not just the specific phrases, though those are genuinely useful, but the larger invitation behind them. The invitation to be present, to be real, to say something that actually means something. One conversation at a time, starting with 3 simple words: how are you? Let's take a step back for a moment, because at this point, you have an entire collection of creative, genuine, and memorable ways to answer one of the most common questions in the human experience. From energized Monday mornings to blissful lazy Sundays, you now have the language to meet any moment with something real. But before we move into the final stretch, it's worth exploring why this all matters on a much deeper level, because the way we answer "how are you" is about far more than just sounding interesting or avoiding repetition. It's about something fundamental to human connection. Think about the last time someone gave you a truly genuine answer to that question. Not a scripted "I'm fine," but something real, something specific and honest, and maybe even a little unexpected. Chances are you remember it. Chances are it made you feel something: warmth, amusement, connection, curiosity. That's the power of an authentic response. It reaches across the ordinary surface of a routine exchange and touches something human in the other person. And here's the thing: that effect isn't accidental. It's the natural result of someone choosing to actually show up in the conversation rather than simply going through the motions. Now consider the flip side. When every answer is fine, when the response is so automatic that neither person is really paying attention anymore, what you have isn't a conversation. You have 2 people performing the social ritual of conversation without actually participating in it. And that's a small loss, repeated dozens of times across the course of a day, adds up over time. Relationships stay surface level. Opportunities for real connection get bypassed. And you, the person doing the answering, gradually lose the habit of even noticing how you actually feel. The muscle atrophies from disuse. That's why this practice, and it is a practice, something you build consciously over time, is so much more than a communication trick. It's a way of staying awake inside your own life. When you take a moment to find the honest, specific, creative answer to how are you, you have to first ask yourself that question sincerely. How am I actually? Am I energized, exhausted, grateful, distracted, looking forward to something, wishing I were somewhere else? The act of finding the right words forces a brief but genuine moment of self-reflection. And that moment, however small, keeps you rooted in your actual experience rather than sleepwalking through it. There's also a social dimension here that's worth exploring. The people who communicate with warmth and authenticity tend to be the ones others gravitate toward. They're the colleagues people choose to sit next to, the friends people call when something important happens, the individuals who somehow always seem to be at the center of the richest conversations. And while many factors contribute to that kind of social magnetism, one of the most consistent is simply this: they make people feel seen. They respond to "how are you?" with something real, and in doing so, they signal to the other person that this interaction, however brief, matters enough to deserve their full attention. That signal registers deeply, even when people can't consciously explain why. And there's something important to be said about the reciprocal question, about ending every answer with "how about you?" or "how are you doing?" This habit does something elegant. It rebalances the conversation instantly. It ensures that neither person is simply performing for the other, but that both are actively participating in an exchange. It says, "I've shared something with you, and now I genuinely want to hear from you too." In professional settings, this comes across as emotional intelligence and interpersonal maturity. In personal relationships, it deepens trust. In casual encounters with near strangers, it creates that rare and pleasant feeling of having actually been seen by someone you barely know. It's also worth noting that you don't have to be witty or poetic or deeply self-aware every single time. Some days, the most powerful answer is simply an honest one. "I've been better on a hard day." "I'm really grateful today when something good has happened." "I need some peace and quiet when everything feels like too much." The goal is never performance, it's presence. It's showing up as yourself rather than as a default setting. And on the days when words feel hard and nothing particularly creative comes to mind, even a quiet, sincere "honestly, it's been a tough day" is infinitely more connecting than a hollow "I'm fine." What we're really talking about is the radical act of being genuine in the small moments and trusting that those small moments matter. Because they do. The texture of a life is made up not of grand, dramatic events, but of thousands of tiny exchanges. And the quality of those exchanges is largely determined by how present and authentic we're willing to be inside them. A conversation that begins with a real answer to "how are you?" is already more alive than one that begins with a script. And from that more alive beginning, almost anything becomes possible: a laugh, a revelation, a new idea, a deepened friendship, a moment of comfort in the middle of an otherwise difficult day. We're almost at the end of our journey together now, but there's still one final, important piece to put in place, the one that will make everything we've covered today actually stick. Let's go there. Everything we've explored across this session, every creative answer, every honest expression, every warm reciprocal question, ultimately points toward a single, simple truth. The words we use in everyday conversation shape the relationships we build, the impressions we leave, and the quality of life we actually experience. Language isn't just a tool for exchanging information. It's the medium through which we reach other people, and how we choose to use it, even in the smallest moments, reveals far more about us than we often realize. So let's bring it all together. You now have a complete toolkit, a spectrum of responses that moves from the energized and enthusiastic to the honestly exhausted, from the warmly personal to the playfully humorous, from the quietly introspective to the openly excited. And the beauty of this collection is that it covers the full range of what being human actually feels like, because none of us are the same every day. None of us wake up with the same energy, the same mood, the same needs. The answers we've gathered today honor that variability. They give you the language to show up authentically regardless of what the day is doing to you. Let's do a quick journey back through the week we've built together, because seeing it all in sequence reveals something rather beautiful. On a bright Monday morning, you're gearing up for the week, ready, focused, present. When the weekend has treated you well, you're genuinely happy and you say so. When life has been repetitive and relentless, you acknowledge it with a gentle same old, and move forward without drama. When nature gives you a beautiful day, you meet it with gratitude. When the week wears on and the fatigue sets in, you name it honestly, I've been better, or I'm just trying to stay alive, with enough lightness to keep the conversation warm. When chocolate or a massage or simply some peace and quiet is what your soul is asking for, you say that too. And when Friday finally arrives, you don't hide your excitement, you let it be contagious, you invite people into it. You celebrate the fact that you made it through another week like the fully feeling human being that you are. And then there's the weekend, the lazy Saturday, the slow Sunday morning, the recharge that makes the next Monday possible. When someone asks how you are in the middle of that, you don't deflect or minimize or perform. You simply say with complete and unhurried sincerity that you're loving every moment of it. Because you are, and saying so out loud makes it even more true. This is the practice, not perfection, not cleverness, not a performance designed to impress. Just the honest, ongoing effort to actually answer the question, to meet each day with the language it deserves. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. At first, it might feel slightly deliberate, like you're reaching for a response rather than falling into one automatically. That's completely normal. Any new habit feels that way in the beginning. But over time, these answers become part of how you actually think about and experience your own days. You start noticing what kind of Monday it feels like. You start registering whether you need peace and quiet or chocolate or a kind word from a friend. The language opens up the feeling, and the feeling informs the language, and together they keep you connected to yourself and to the people around you. There's one final thing worth saying, and it's something that ties together everything we've discussed. Human beings are wired for connection. We are built for it at a biological level. It is as fundamental to our well-being as food and sleep and shelter. And yet, in our busy, screen-filled, distraction-saturated modern lives, genuine connection is increasingly rare. We are surrounded by communication, messages, notifications, calls, meetings, but actual, present, human-to-human connection, that's harder to come by. And one of the simplest, most accessible ways to create more of it is exactly what we've been talking about today, answering "How are you?" as if it were a real question asked by a real person, deserving of a real response. Because here's the thing, it is, every single time, behind every "how are you," there is a person who, on some level, actually wants to know. Maybe they don't always have the time or bandwidth for the long version. Maybe the context doesn't allow for a deep conversation. But the question, even when asked casually, carries within it a tiny invitation. Tell me something true about how you are right now. And when you accept that invitation, when you respond with something genuine rather than something automatic, you honor both the question and the person who asked it. You make the moment mean something. And moments that mean something, strung together across the days and weeks and years, are what a life worth living is actually made of. So the next time someone looks at you and asks those 3 words, and they will, probably before the day is out, take a breath, check in with yourself for just a second. And give them something real. It doesn't have to be elaborate, it doesn't have to be witty, it just has to be true. Because the most memorable thing you can ever be in any conversation is genuinely, unapologetically yourself. Now, over to you. How are you feeling right now in this moment? Leave it in the comments. Be honest, be creative, be exactly as you are. We'd love to hear from